Projects would be a lot easier if we didn't have to deal with humans, but people bring biases, they bring politics, they bring agendas to their work. It's not just, the hippo or the loudest voice in the room saying, this is what we're going to do. But it can also result in chaos.
Scrumcraft is committed to empowering individuals and teams through their 3 core services, each designed to drive meaningful and sustainable change. First, Scrumcraft Academy offers cutting-edge training that goes far beyond basics. They equip you with the practical skills and product delivery, design, and leadership, while also helping you seamlessly integrate AI into your business operations. Their focus on real-world application ensures that you're not just learning, but mastering the skill that truly matters. Next, Scrumcraft Consulting provides expert, human-centered guidance tailored towards your organization's specific needs. Whether it's agile coaching, product ownership, or transformational leadership, Scrumcraft partners with you to address your unique challenges. Together, they'll co-create innovative solutions that foster sustainable growth and drive long-term success. Finally, Scrumcraft Mentoring is dedicated to unlocking your personal and professional potential. Whether you aim to advance your career, enhance your business acumen, or hone your leadership abilities, their mentoring services are tailored to support your unique journey. All ready to go? Let's do it. All right, welcome to another episode of Agility at Scale, where we're going to explore the intersections of agile practices and innovative thinking. Today, I'm excited to introduce our guest, Dr. Amanda Keenan, an expert in human-centered design. Amanda has a wealth of experience in this set of principles to create solutions that are not only functional, but deeply aligned to the needs of people. She brings a unique perspective on how social technology can influence agile teams, product development, and customer-centric approaches. Amanda, thank you for joining us.
Hi, Jason. It's lovely to be here with the maestro of Agile. I'm very excited.
I'll stop it. I'm blushing. So tell us a bit about social technology and how you got into this.
Sure. So social technology, it's been around for a few years. So a University of Virginia professor, Jean Liedtke, published an article on this in the Harvard Business Review. And it was really aimed at getting an organisation innovation fit, which is what she calls it. So what social technology does is result in better solutions, reduce risks and costs of change, and it gets employee buy-in. And how it does this is really by taking out or reducing or eliminating those pesky human biases that can thwart even the best design project. So we're into collaboration, okay? We're into co-design. It's the bedrock of human-centered design, and it's what Agile is all about as well. But it can also result in chaos, right? And people bring biases, they bring politics, they bring agendas to their work. So the point of social technology is to harness positive energy. And it's to manage those behavioural obstacles that occur wherever you get these pesky humans together. Because, projects would be a lot easier if we didn't have to deal with humans, but fortunately we do, because life would be a bit awful without them.
I'm glad I'm hearing somebody else saying a statement like that, because I'm often heard saying, wouldn't projects be a lot easier if it wasn't for stakeholders? But, that's who we're doing it for, right? So, yeah.
Yeah. So design thinking is a social technology because it counters potential biases and it changes the way innovators engage in that process. And design thinking, it's not a one-shot vaccine. You don't go in and do a course on design thinking and suddenly everything's better. It's the innovation fitness program. So it's something that has to be done every day. The way I think Agile methodology is like that. It's an innovation fitness program. It's part of ways of working. It's part of how we show up.
Yeah.
So today I'd like to take you on a social technology roadshow.
Oh, lovely.
So we're going to go through a bit of a journey of an Agile project, and social technology it's not just an Agile complementary methodology. It can be used in any kind of project delivery. But as we know, Agile is the most wonderful way to deliver human-centered, iterative, collaborative, consumer-focused, all of that good stuff projects. So that's what we're going to focus on.
Great.
All right, I'm just going to share the screen. We can edit that out.
Ooh, this looks good.
So this is shaping our innovation journey, and you see there we've got our lovely Agile team just ready to start another fabulous project with great results. So, sorry, I can edit this out. Sometimes my mouse works, sometimes it doesn't. So, one of the first things we might encounter as we head off down this road is that we're trapped in our own expertise and experience. Done this before, this is what it looks like, let's go.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the first obstacle that we might encounter as humans. So what design thinking does is it provides immersion in the user's experience. So we're moving our mindset towards a better understanding of those being designed for. So we're bringing immersion in whatever insights have come out of the discovery phase into the Agile team rather than just setting them off without having a clear understanding. And obviously we rely on the product owner a lot to do that. But that's something that really needs to be done, and to have as many people as the Agile team involved in that process as well.
Mm.
And then as next step, we might get overwhelmed by all the data and the messiness of it, because again, humans are messy, right? It can be hard to actually pin them down on a particular point of view. So what design thinking does, it makes sense of that data. So it's organising it into themes, into patterns. And that gives us our new insights and possibilities. So when we're going into our project, we've got our insights, we've got everything synthesized, we've got our key themes, our opportunity spaces, and we use this sort of social technology.
It looks very much like there's this, cognitive or brain-based approach to this as you're going through this. So, thinking about we are trapped in our own expertise and experience. I'm thinking about biases and how our perception of the world can change how we think our customers think, but not necessarily until we're actually asking them. So this nests really nicely into the brain-friendly approach that Agile attempts to address. It's quite nice.
And then the next thing we get is divided by differences in team members' perspectives. So people might have different perspectives in terms of what's needed. So what design thinking does, it starts to build alignments as we translate those insights into needs. And then that brings us to convergent around what really matters to users. So it provides rigor and it provides governance. So when you get to the end of the project and you're delivering the fabulous thing that you have created, you can track back and say, hang on, why are we doing this? All right, we know why we're doing this. We got convergent around what really matters, and this is where we are at day one, and we know that this is right.
Mm-hmm.
Next step, we get confronted by lots and lots of ideas they're all kind of familiar, but there might be nuances and slight differences in those. So we can use design thinking through focused inquiry. And this is what we call focusing questions, or how might we questions. And that allows us to really focus in on what is the problem we're trying to solve. And then what we get through this ideation and prioritization is a limited but diverse sets of potential new solutions. So we reduce the number of potential solutions, but there's still options for us going forward.
Yeah. I was going to ask if this process narrows it down to just like one option moving forward, or are you keeping your options open still at this point in time?
Yeah, so at this point of time, we've gone through like a divergent process where we've done some ideation with users, or the product owner and our stakeholders, whoever it is we're working with at this particular point of the project. And then we'll do some prioritization. We'll start to converge and we'll look at, okay, we know what's desirable. We need to look at what's feasible. So what can we actually deliver with the technology that we have? And what's viable in the long term? So what is sustainable from the point of view of the organisation? Because we can build fabulous things, but if the organisation can't fund them, they're not sustainable, then, you know, everybody's wasted their time. So it's really important that we go through this process of converging. And again, it also adds rigour because everyone's involved with that prioritisation. It's not just, you know, the hippo or the loudest voice in the room saying, this is what we're going to do.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And then they as they go into execution mode, I guess they know how the decisions have been made along the way, what it is, what it isn't, a lot clearer on how they do their day-to-day execution, knowing exactly and full well what the desired outcome is going to be.
Yeah, and I talk a lot about governance and people get fed up with it, but it's through a long experience of having things ready to go and having them being challenged by stakeholders. Oh, I don't think this is right. Why are we doing it this way? This is why we're doing it this way. And we can work back around that. And again, it's back to these biases, and these are really human behaviours. There's agendas in everything. There's politics in everything. There's conflict between innovation and BAU, and where people choose to sit. So, and you'll hear that a lot, existing biases about what does or doesn't work. Oh, we tried this before and it didn't work, or we did this and it didn't work. So what design thinking does, it helps us to articulate the conditions for each idea's success. So that goes back to feasibility and viability. We need these resources. We need this change work. We need this piece of technology. We might need this type of structure for this. And that gives us more clarity on make or break assumptions. So again, it's about, this is desirable, is it feasible, is it viable? And that's what we take forward. And then we look at, okay, now, next, later, what do we do now? You know, what's more complex? We'll do that next. What's really complicated? Well, we might think about doing that later.
Do you have a favourite prioritisation mechanism for those sorts of decisions?
So in design thinking, we would use a couple of rounds of voting on particular ideas or concepts, which is very democratic, allows everybody to have a voice. And then you do your first round, and then you go back and you ask people to look at the second round. You give them less votes. That's how you prioritise. But then the tricky bit is when you really get to the sticky end of what do we do now? What do we do next? What do we do later? And, 2x2 matrix, it might be impact, it might be effort, it might be consumer, what's best for our customer versus what's the most investment for the company, and you can work that out with your stakeholder group as you go. What is it that really matters?
Yep. Nice.
And then we don't have a shared understanding of those new ideas, and we're unable to get good feedback from users, because I think we're used to presenting the thing to the user and then getting validation and getting feedback. But if we can't actually articulate the thing because we don't understand the ideas ourselves, we're not going to get the right feedback. So what design thinking does is it does a lot of prototyping. And it can be really rough, pen and paper stuff. Wireframing, obviously, you're very familiar with. Figma-based run-throughs, showcasing all of those kind of techniques and methods.
Yep.
come with design thinking. Prototyping is extremely important. Prototyping and testing, and that's exactly where Agile is as well.
Yep. Thinking about 3D printing and all sorts of things for like more tangible products too. So yeah, all of those things.
Yeah. So then you can just do a low-cost prototype, whatever it is, and then you can test it on users and get your feedback. So ultimately, what we get is we start off with being a bit nervous around the change, and there's ambiguity around the new future. We're not sure if this is really the right thing we should be building, and is this going to work? So we're using our social technology lens. We've got learning and action experiments, so engaging staff or engaging users as well. And that delivers a shared commitment and confidence in the new product or strategy. Again, it's a rigorous, well-governed way to remove human biases from the innovation progress. And then we have a very happy and successful Agile team.
Brilliant.
So that's social technology in a nutshell.
Do you mind if I ask you a couple of questions just to circle back on a couple of items as we're going through there? I was really keen to understand, do you see this design thinking, I think, and the social technology that you've described here? Some people think it's like in the project side of things, like we're in the project world. I'm just thinking from a application in the product approach rather than a project approach. Do you see this as like a continuous cycle, so that you're always evolving your product in parallel with executing like the first wave of whatever you've prototyped and agreed that's the way forward? Do we start the process again straight away, or do we give it some time to deliver something first? Is it a duality between execution and innovation?
I think so. I totally agree with your point there. So there's two things we can kind of talk about. We can talk about dual track Agile, which I'm not an expert in, but I understand that is constantly bringing in design and feedback to the next round of product release. So you still have that strong research or discovery piece happening, rather than just doing it at the beginning and then you might have spikes through the process, but you're not really going back to your user. So design thinking is a continuous process. So you would have a day one product which has certain features, that you'll prioritize features or however that's being done. And while you're evaluating that, that's feeding into, okay, well, our next set of product features are this, plus we're also going to make, some adjustments to the features that are already out there based on our feedback. So it is a continuous process. as you go through, design has a lighter touch than it would have had at the beginning.
Sure.
But it still has a continuous touch.
Yeah. One of the rules, I guess, or guidelines that is in the Scrum Guide, which is just one way of managing Agile delivery, talks about slicing about 10% of your sprint for future sprint readiness. I guess that could be where we do use design thinking as an opportunity to refine existing ideas, but also bring in new ideas, because those new ideas might be more valuable, as time goes on than the things that we thought we would or should deliver in the first place.
Yeah, and you can do a design sprint within an agile sprint or a spike or whatever it's called, where there's something that's emerging as you've gone through, and you want it to take a day, or it doesn't take that long, as long as you have a clear problem statement that you can turn into a focusing question, and you've got preferably users to actually take through that process. So it doesn't take long to do, and it gives you so much clarity, so much confidence then moving forward that you're on the right path.
Yeah, for sure. And I can really see the human side of things coming out. We are nervous about change. I mean, it's right there in white and red. We're nervous about change, and it's about settling those nerves and getting past those initial biases potentially, or perceptions. It's just too hard, don't know what to do here. We've tried that before, it doesn't belong here. Those sorts of things, which everybody feels that they're unique in that situation. But if you were to take the time to ask people around you, you probably find that most people, it's not a unique feeling. As long as you're collaborating with each other, you'll get to understand that everyone's feeling the same way. But I see it is really nicely nested with Agile because of that iterative and experimentation and customer first kind of thinking.
Yeah, and there's probably two capabilities that are left either out of projects or left to the end, and that's human-centered design and change. So my practice has combined the two, because there are natural synergies between the two capabilities, because they're very human focused, but they also take so much risk out of projects, in terms of A, building the wrong thing, and B, launching this fabulous thing that you've worked on so hard, and people don't use it because change hasn't been managed appropriately, they haven't been consulted, it hasn't been a co-design process. So I'm starting to combine Luma Institute methodology, which is global human-centered design organisation, with Prosci, and kind of bringing those two methodologies together in practice. So that's been really interesting.
Would you be open to coming back and talking to us about some of those experiments that you're trying in that space?
I would love to. I'd love to get your feedback, and also obviously the community's feedback on it.
That's great. Because that design space is like, the perception is it's up front, and that change space is the perception is that's like just before we get ready to launch something. It's like, no, you gotta shift design right, and you gotta shift change left, and it's collaboration throughout, and taking the whole thing, taking the ball down the field together as a team. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much. What we'll do is we'll look at getting you back again for another short podcast, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks so much, Maestro, Jason. Really enjoyed it.
No worries. And don't forget to look up Cool Kids. Cool Kids are doing some cool stuff.
We are. We're cool.
Yeah. Awesome. Alrighty. Thank you.
Thanks, Jason.
for watching.